Steve Smith lets us know fathers are really important.
Let's go.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Becoming Rob. This is where I talk about all of the things that I am doing to become the best version of myself. I hope that you can go on the journey with me. I'm coming to you live every morning, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. on the West Coast, the left coast, the best coast here in California. Okay, remember to like and subscribe and come check me out every morning, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. If you're woke, we're up. We're trying to win this morning. Okay, so thanks for joining me. I'm going to get straight to it. We're talking about Steve Smith, the former um, Carolina Panther wide receiver. Not in the Hall of Fame yet, but well on his way. This is an easy first ballot Hall of Famer wide receiver. Okay, Steve Smith in his career was known as a very aggressive, a very um, wired and turned up wide receiver, and sometimes, often people might describe it as borderline angry. But he was a very passionate player. Um, and sometimes you have to be like that. And you got those type of players. I played football in college at the University of San Diego, and so I understand the intensity and the physicality, the aggressiveness it takes to be a successful football player. And Steve Smith embodied all of that. And so, oftentimes, what you see, especially with football players, is because it takes so much intensity, it takes so much focus, it takes so much aggression. Oftentimes, you may see that some people have a hard time turning off that aggression once they get off the field. The intensity can spill over into the family moments, and it can impact marriages, impact fatherhood, impact your relationships on the outside because uh, football can just really consume your life and mentality. And I'm sure other sports can identify with this. However, I play football. Steve Smith played football. We got football players on the show today. Shout out to all of those people out there giving their lives on the football field. But as Steve Smith, and you see this with a lot of athletes as well as they transition into their retirement. Um, those that are successful at it are able to sort of become reflective. And there's a new part of the person that you get to see, that we get to see. Oftentimes in past decades, you did not get to see because social media was not as prevalent and or not there at all. And so we didn't have a camera and a microphone in front of some of our sports heroes after they retired, so we can see their evolution into retirement. But we live in a great time now because we are able to do that. And we'll see that a little bit here with Steve Smith. Steve Smith is a LA boy. Shout out to all the young men from LA. I'm from Compton, California myself. And so I didn't even realize this about Steve Smith. And so shout out to us. We out here doing it. Shout out to all the people from all the young men doing it from California that might be watching in California right now. I witnessed this as well with one of my favorite athletes of all time. And if you're from LA, you're my age. One of your favorite athletes of all time is the man Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was known for his intensity and focus, the long hours he would put in the gym and working out and perfecting his craft. And so that's the mentality you see on TV. You see him very aggressive, very um, intentional, going after the things that it takes to be the best. However, when Kobe Bryant transitioned into retirement, there was this whole different side of him that we all got to experience before his tragic passing. And that was the father, Kobe Bryant. That was this Kobe Bryant who would uh, closely guard his secrets and techniques while in his uh, in the prime of his career. Now, just opened himself like a book to all of the younger players and to anyone who wanted to come and train with him. He would meet with them and work with them. And so it was very nice to see that transition. And so we are going to kind of take a peek into that transition with Steve Smith, specifically in the areas of fatherhood, because I'm always on here trying to talk to young men, trying to give you the lessons that I learned while I'm trying to become better. I want to give you these lessons that I learned, the things that impact me, so that you can become better. I want you to be a better father. I want you to be a great husband. So we're going to learn that from Steve Smith today, who is married as well, was married when he came to the league. So this is a man that we can learn from because he was able to navigate the the many temptations, the rigors, the difficulties of being a professional athlete, holding his family together. I believe he had a child early in his career as well, holding that all together. Now getting to the backside, making it into retirement, and still holding together. So many athletes get a family, and after they retire, they have to spend more time with the family. They have to transition, and then they get divorced after retirement because life changes so much. Okay, so let's dive in. This is an interview from Club Shay Shay. If you watch, man, if you watch First Take in the morning, it, it's different. Undisputed. It's not First Take anymore. It's Undisputed. Okay, if you watch Undisputed in the morning with Shannon Sharpe, Skip Bayless, then you know a little bit about Club Shay Shay. Club Shay Shay kind of spun off, and now Shannon Sharpe has his own YouTube channel, which he calls Club Shay Shay, which where he's able to um, interview very influential people in sports and entertainment. And so Steve Smith has made it to Club Shay Shay. Let's get into it. There's Steve Smith. This first clip I want to show is Steve Smith talking about what a man brings to the table, specifically in the context of what he brings, what he learned he should be bringing to the table for his family. Uh, that word "bring to the table" is a popular term in this dating and relationship space. We always ask people, "What do you bring to the table?" It's sort of analogy about a deal. What are you bringing to the deal? What are you putting in the pot? What are you giving to this situation? And so, Steve Smith is going to describe what he learned as he evolved as a man and as a father. What he learned he should be bringing to the table. Let's watch.
But what things are emotionally can you provide? And at 43 years old now, I'm finally connecting the dots to see that it's not provide. Basically, I provided financially and a roof over my family's head, but emotionally they were bankrupt. So understanding, figuring that out, and understanding what each one of my family members, my wife, what she needs from me, how can I show up for her every day? How can I show up for my daughter? How can I loan my daughter make and set that standard for my daughter that she's not looking, not that she is, but she's not looking for the boyfriend to be there because her dad was there. Just trying. What the dad was. Yeah. So just trying to figure it out myself and no longer blind leading the blind, more leading from the front, and that sometimes also leading from the back, right? Also asking my wife, hey, what do you think about this? Instead of saying, oh, this is my house and I know I make the money, I do this. Yeah.
All right, so you heard that there. Steve Smith is describing what he brings. Let me bring myself back up here. Got dressed for y'all again this morning. Um, Steve Smith is describing what he, as a man and as a father, can bring to the table, and this is so important because so much of society sometimes will tell us as men, us as fathers, that we are not important. This is so far from the truth. You are important. You as a man are important. You as a father are important. If you want to one day be married, if you want to one day have children, you are so immensely important in your family's life. You will be so immensely important in your family's life. Just your presence is something to be valued. For every father that is there and is putting in time, uh he should be recognized for that. And we have a society that oftentimes does not recognize fathers in that manner, does not recognize men in that manner. Oftentimes it seems like the message is that men are disposable. But I think we see this is not true because we see the effects that it has on children. We see the effects that it has on families. We see the effects that it has on society in general when men are not present in their family's life. The jails are filled with young men who did not have fathers. So you are important. Let me focus on the words of Steve Smith here. He says that he learned that as he got older, there's other things as a man that he has to bring to the table. He said he in his in after his retirement, he's learning that it's like, well, what what else can I bring? I understand I bring this finance. I understand I bring this sense of protection and providence. I provide and I protect, but what else is being asked of me in this situation? And he mentions there's an emotional requirement as a man and as a father that's being asked of us. There's a emotional requirement. He said that he didn't want his family to have everything they needed financially and have his presence, but be emotionally bankrupt. And he's actually given a sort of confession of how he was not really playing that role in his younger years. It took him some reflection and growing up to understand, man, these people need more from me than just a paycheck. These people need more from me than just a strong person around. They need my voice. They need my presence. They need something mentally and emotionally from me as well. And sometimes we as fathers, sometimes we can struggle, especially in the emotional area. But that's because so many of us, like myself, have not had the opportunity to see a father who is emotionally there. And then we have not had that opportunity to experience what that feels like. There's oftentimes, if you did not have a father growing up, there's a part of your experience growing up that you're missing and you don't even realize that you're missing it. And so it's hard to pass on that benefit to your children without deep reflection because you don't realize what you're missing. And then when you realize you're missing, then you're not totally sure how to bring it about in your life. It takes deep reflection. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of intention to make sure that you are meeting the emotional needs of your children and of your wife. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of intentionality. It's easy for us to just go about our routine, and especially if you out there working and you busting it and you bringing it home for your kids and for your wife, for your family. You deserve appreciation for that. I talk to my wife about this all the time. I'm like, so many, so many men are not doing that. That any man, though he may be struggling in the emotional department, though he may be struggling to show all his nourishing qualities to his children, if he's there every day and he's working every day and he is protecting and providing, he is doing the major part of his role, and he deserves to be recognized for that. He deserves to be appreciated for that. I seen a young lady doing an interview one day, and more than one young lady, actually two different young ladies. Story time. Two different young ladies that were doing an interview on two different occasions. The first young lady's doing the interview. They asking her, about herself, and then asking her, did she grow up in a two-parent home? What was her relationship with her dad like? It's on one of these dating and relationship shows. And like, yeah, my dad worked. My dad provided for us. My mom never had to work. He took care of us. All good. Check, 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 check. And then she goes, but I didn't have a good relationship with him. And so, so everybody starts squinting, right? It's like, wait a minute. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not close to my dad, and obviously we don't know everything that goes on. But all of a sudden, she just didn't have anything good to say about that. This young lady was, I believe, was a lawyer. Dad put her through college and law school. She becomes a lawyer, and here she is on a big social media YouTube channel. Like, nah, I don't really rock with my dad like that. And it took everybody else around the table who didn't have their dad in their life to try to explain to this young lady, like, what are you talking about? Why would you say anything other than showing the ultimate appreciation for your father who worked and put you through college and put you through law school? He didn't show his emotions, and so you're lacking and missing something. But he raised a great daughter. Look at you, you're successful. He did it. He did it. None of us as parents are going to be perfect. None of us are going to be able to give every single little thing, both financially and materially and emotionally, to our children. We are going to imprint upon our children negatively, and we just cannot avoid it. We have to try our best to avoid it, but we can't avoid it. There's just some negative things about us that we're going to pass on to our children, just like there are negative things in our relationship with our parents that were passed on to us. But in total, if you have a father who was there, who stayed with your mother, in a successful marriage, and put you through college and put you through law school, how could you have anything other than, you know at least publicly, good to say about about this man? And it's very hard for uh, fathers in that way. Clearly, she was looking for something more from her father, but she had a good one. And so that's how, in society and in even many situations, we as dads, we as fathers, we as husbands, we do a lot of work, and sometimes we can feel unappreciated for missing the mark in some different place. Second young lady, um, similar story. Had her dad in her life, had her mother in her life, married the whole time that she was growing up, and put her through college. She gets on this large YouTube platform and begins to talk disparagingly about her dad. dad, she explains that, yeah, my dad was there, took care of us. He took us on vacation every year. And I think this young lady, and maybe in both of the young ladies' case, they had very successful fathers who were successful in their occupation, their careers. Obviously, they have to be to just put their children to through college and through law school. So these are very successful men, and I think as I'm kind of psychoanalyzing it from the back end, uh, some of what is going on with in Steve Smith's case, and many professional athletes and many successful men, many men who are very busy, is their responsibility to be there for you financially will oftentimes limit their ability to be there with you in presence and in emotion. This is why it's such a hard role for us to have as men and fathers, because uh as one preacher said, your early years are your earning years, and you can't be in two places at one time. Your family needs your presence, and your job needs your presence. And your family needs your presence at your job, because oftentimes that is how they are provided for. And so you can't be in two places at once. And so you can't give all that you are giving to your occupation, to your career, to your job, and then at the same time, in those same hours, give all that you can to your children, your wife, your family. And oftentimes giving time to one can make you tired in the other position. So it's a very hard position. And so here we see two daughters who have a very successful and successful and driven father who has taken care of them. And out of all of they that they have received, the only thing that they noticed was what they didn't receive in the emotional department. So it's very hard. So we as fathers got to focus on both, just like Steve Smith is uh, telling us. And it's great that he is going through that evolution, and that he's, around to experience island sport. Shout out to Steve Smith, able to have relative health here in his 40s. He's able to be with his family, and he's recognizing the importance of his presence and what he can give emotionally. He in that end of that clip, he says something, a very small tidbit. How he's a, in some, he recognizes that he is the leader of his home, but he recognizes that, hey man, my wife has talents and abilities too, and if her talents and abilities allow her to do something better than me, man, he does not have a problem allowing her to do that. Hey, that is maturity. That is uh, that is having a perspective of getting the job done, of being successful. Um, I often say that I am the leader of my home. As a father, as a husband and a father, I am the leader of my home. But there are several tasks that I I don't know if you want to call it delegate, allow. I recognize that my wife is just better at those things. And it's not just and it's not just cooking and cleaning. And the things that she is better at, I allow her to do because it makes the home run better. I don't. What's the point of being married if if you're gonna have to do everything? What's the point of being married if you're not going to lean and depend on your wife? Okay, so I know so many of you want to be married out there, so there's a lesson in that, dude. Have perspective when you're a husband. Look around, be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, and you have to be aware of your wife's strengths and your wife's weaknesses, and you have to work to mold those two together to build a home, to build a life together. No, it's going to be hard. You're gonna argue. Sometimes you have to, push through some hard situations. And oftentimes we as men, we spend a lot of time uh, at work where we are working through things. We're using all of our reasoning capability. And some of us using all of our reasoning and physical capabilities. When we get home, we don't want to have to deal with so many different things. It takes us even a moment to decompress from just to compartmentalize all that went on in the office or at the job, and then get home and then kind of switch modes into this role of father and husband. However, you can do it. You can do it, and you have to focus on be intentional about it. Set your routines in place so that you can fulfill these roles. Be the leader of your home. You can do it, and that's not be the leader that can recognize and have perspective um, on where, like I said, where your strengths are, where your wife's strengths are, mold those things together and build a home. Okay, I'm talking so much, I'm running out of time. Let's go into one more clip. And I want you to recognize something too. I'm going to go ahead and link down to that um, uh, to this video in the description. But I want you to notice that these places in the video are the most watched parts of the video. You know how YouTube lets you know what's the most watched part of the video. Two most watched parts of the video are Steve Smith talking about his role in fatherhood, and then he talks about his father's impact on him. Let's go back to the video. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. Go ahead and like and subscribe to Club Shay Shay over there. Help out Shannon Sharpe. Let's see what we got.
Who's the same height as me, but you went to the University of Miami. Name was Santana Moss. Right. So how is Santana Moss same height as me? But he's
Steve Smith is talking about how people viewed him when he was coming out of college, a shorter wide receiver, and he's out the University of Utah, and so he's comparing his height, stature, and stats to a receiver that was more celebrated, Santana Moss, out of the University of Miami.
not too small, and I'm not mad at Santana. Right. The scouts were lazy; they just didn't want to say that. We didn't respect the University of Utah. Right. Because in college, if you go back and look, I think my junior and senior year combined, I averaged 21.2 yards catch. I wasn't a DB who liked to play receiver. I played receiver who happened to be able to catch punts because my dad was he was a semi-pro punter. He used to punt down at Willowbrook Park when I was a kid. And just like any other kid, I used to follow my pop around. And so by the time I was probably about 8 or 9, I could catch punts because I was just hanging out with my pop. I was trying to catch. And at that time, my dad was punting. I thought he was punting the ball to the clouds. And I was just trying to catch it. I was trying to learn how to catch it. And then he got mad at me like, if you're going to be back there, catch the ball, boy.
Okay, so we see that again. These two parts that I just showed you are two of the most popular portions of this interview. Shout out to Club Shay Shay. Go ahead and like and subscribe over there. Let me remind you to like and subscribe to this channel, Becoming Rob. These are the two most watched portions of the interview, where Steve Smith is talking about himself as a father, and then Steve Smith is talking about his experience with his own father, which is so powerful. It tells you a little bit about YouTube, and it tells you that the YouTube audience, a lot of them are young men, and then it tells you that So many of those young men like to hear these stories of fatherhood. And there's an example of how important it is for you as a father, your presence um, in your child's life. I don't know if Steve Smith's father understood all that he was passing on to him in those moments. Yes, Steve Smith's father was playing football. He says playing semi-pro football, and I'm sure he wanted his son to probably play football as well. And it shows the power of just having your children around when you're doing things. You are passing things on to them in a organic manner where it's not even like forced. You are shaping them in a manner where you don't even realize it. You are setting them up for the rest of their life and you don't even realize just because you have them around. So here's the encouragement for you to be intentional about it, keeping your children around and then imprinting on them a imprint that is going to set them up for their destiny, that's going to set them up for a positive outcome in life. They're watching you anyway. You might as well allow them to come around and watch you, and so that you lead them to greatness, so that they become all that they can be in this life. So don't take your position lightly, man. Stand up as a father. I know some of you. I have friends going through custody battles. I know some of you are going through out there. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Be there for your kids. Try as hard as you can. And if you're not going through custody battles, shout out to you. Go ahead, dive in, take care of your kids. That's all from me because you are going to you're really imprinting on them for the rest of their life, and it's going to help them come into their destiny. Okay, such an important role you play, and we thank Steve Smith for being vulnerable like that. I got to get out of here. I hear the alarm going off. I got to go up there and start taking care of my kids. I hope that you do the same. Catch me every Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. on the left coast, the west coast, the best coast. I will see you tomorrow on Becoming Rob.
Let's go.